Have you ever wondered what lies deep within a forbidden forest? What if we told you about a boy named Ndala, whose curiosity led him into such a forest? Why did he go in there, and what did he find? This isn't just any forest, it's a place where danger lurks, and the spirits of the past watch over the living. Ndala's adventure is filled with mystery, bravery, and the loving protection of his parents' ghosts. This story is rich in lessons and magic. It comes from the heart of Ambundu mythology and has been passed down through generations. In a small village nestled between rolling hills and dense forests lived a boy named Ndala. The village was peaceful, its nights filled with the sounds of crickets and the occasional howl of distant animals. Ndala was known for his boundless curiosity and courage, traits that often led him to explore beyond the familiar paths of his village. Ndala lived with his grandmother, a wise old woman who often told him stories of their ancestors and the spirits that watched over their land. He had lost his parents at a young age, a loss that made him feel both sorrow and a deep connection to their spirits. One night, as the fire flickered and made shadows on the walls, his grandmother spoke in a hushed tone. Her voice was a mix of fear and reverence. "Ndala," she said, nervously glancing around the dimly lit hut, "you must always remember the spirits of your parents are watching over you. But beware, not all spirits are kind. There are those who seek to harm and lead you astray." Ndala's eyes widened with curiosity, yet he felt a shiver run down his spine. "But, grandmother," he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, "how will I know which spirits to trust?" His grandmother sighed. Her face softened as she looked at him. "You must listen to your heart, my dear Ndala. The good spirits will guide you and protect you. Always stay true to yourself, and you will find your way." Ndala replied, "I promise, grandmother." Days turned into weeks, and the promise Ndala made to his grandmother began to weigh heavily on his mind. Every day, Ndala became more curious about the forbidden forest. One fateful morning, driven by an irresistible urge, Ndala decided to venture into the forest. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a golden glow over the treetops. Ndala stood at the edge of the forest, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. He took a deep breath and stepped into the unknown. He was determined to uncover its secrets. "I just need to see it for myself," Ndala murmured to himself, his voice barely audible. "I'll be careful and quick." Ndala stepped into the dense foliage, leaving the village sounds behind. The air grew cooler and the light dimmer. Strange noises surrounded him, making the forest feel alive. Despite his fear, Ndala moved forward, his determination unwavering. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, and the thought of his grandmother's warning echoed in his mind. As he walked further, the forest seemed to close in around him, the trees growing taller and the paths less clear. Ndala paused for a moment, taking in his surroundings, his breath visible in the cool, damp air. "This place is different," he whispered, feeling a shiver run down his spine. "I must be careful." Ndala wandered further into the forest, which grew darker and scarier with each step. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw ghostly figures with hollow eyes and twisted grins emerging from the shadows. "Ndala, come closer. You cannot escape," an evil spirit whispered, its voice chillingly soft. Ndala's heart pounded. He turned to run, but the spirits surrounded him, their cold breath chilling him to the bone. Panic surged through him as he realized there was no way out. The spirits moved closer, their forms twisting and contorting, reaching out with clawed hands. Ndala dodged and weaved, his breath coming in short gasps. He stumbled, falling to the ground, and the spirits closed in, their eyes glowing with malice. One spirit lunged, its hand grazing his arm, sending a wave of cold through him. "What do you want from me? Leave me alone," Ndala cried out desperately, his voice trembling with fear. "Your fear, it nourishes us. We want your soul," the spirit hissed, its voice dripping with malice. The spirits lunged again, and just as their hands were about to grasp him, a bright, blinding light pierced the darkness, forcing the spirits to recoil. Ndala shielded his eyes, feeling warmth and safety over him. The spirits hissed and shrieked, retreating into the shadows. "Ndala, you are not alone," a familiar voice echoed through the clearing. "Your parents are with you." His parents' spirits, radiant and protective, stood between him and the evil spirits. "Leave him be. He is under our protection," they declared in unison, their voices strong and commanding. "You cannot protect him forever," snarled the evil spirit, its voice dripping with venom. The evil spirits retreated, hissing in anger, disappearing into the shadows. Ndala's parents turned to him, their faces filled with love and concern. "Ndala, you must be careful," his mother's spirit said gently. "The forest is dangerous, but we will always watch over you." "Remember, son," his father's spirit added, "our love is stronger than any evil. Trust in us, and you will always find your way." Feeling safer with his parents' spirits by his side, Ndala continued his exploration. They led him to a beautiful river that sparkled under the moonlight. "This is the river of dreams, Ndala," his mother's spirit said softly. "Here, you can speak with us whenever you need guidance." Ndala gazed at the shimmering water in awe. "It's beautiful," he whispered. "Will you always be here?" "Yes, Ndala," his father's spirit assured him. "Whenever you need us, we will be here. But remember, you must return home before dawn." As Ndala sat by the river, he felt a deep sense of peace. He spoke with his parents, asking them about their lives and their dreams for him. He listened intently, absorbing their words. "I promise to be brave and wise, just like you," Ndala said, his voice filled with determination. His parents' spirits smiled, their faces glowing with pride. "We know you will, Ndala," his mother said tenderly. "You have the heart of a true warrior." As the night wore on, Ndala felt the weight of his fears lifting. The river of dreams had given him a connection to his past and a clear vision for his future. Suddenly, the peaceful night was interrupted by a loud rustling in the bushes. A majestic figure emerged, a forest guardian with eyes that glowed like embers. He looked at Ndala and asked, "Who dares to enter the sacred forest and disturb the spirits?" Ndala stood tall, his fear replaced by courage, and whispered, "I am Ndala. I seek to learn about my ancestors and understand the spirits that protect us." The forest guardian replied, "You are brave, young one, but bravery alone is not enough. You must prove your respect for the forest and its inhabitants." The forest guardian set a series of challenges for Ndala, testing his strength, wisdom, and compassion. With each challenge, Ndala proved his worth, guided by the wisdom of his parents. The final challenge was the most difficult. Ndala had to retrieve a rare flower that only bloomed at the highest peak of the mountain. The journey was treacherous, filled with steep climbs and dangerous paths. As Ndala climbed, the sun began to rise, casting a golden glow over the landscape. He reached the peak, exhausted but determined. There, amidst the rocks, was the rare flower, its petals shimmering in the light. Ndala said, "I did it. I found it." With the flower in hand, Ndala made his way back down, careful not to damage the delicate bloom. He returned to the forest guardian, who was waiting for him at the base of the mountain. The forest guardian then said, "You have proven your respect and bravery, Ndala. You are truly worthy of the spirit's protection." With the guardian's blessing and his parents' guidance, Ndala found his way back to the village. He emerged into the light of day, the village coming into view. He ran as fast as he could to get back to his home, where his grandmother waited anxiously. Grandmother was relieved to see him. She exclaimed, "Ndala, oh my dear boy, you're safe." Ndala responded with enthusiasm. "Grandmother, I saw them. I saw my parents. They saved me from the evil spirits." She smiled and said, "I knew they would protect you. Their love is a shield against all harm." From that day on, Ndala was different. He had faced the darkest fears and emerged stronger, wiser. The village elders often spoke of his bravery, and the story of how his parents' ghosts saved him became a cherished tale. Around the evening fires, Ndala would share his story, his voice steady and filled with gratitude. He said, "Remember, our ancestors are always with us. Their love transcends even the boundaries of life and death. We must honor them and heed their wisdom." And if you enjoyed this story, make sure to click on the next video for more stories from mythology.